Welcome to Mercatus Radio, Episode 3. I'm your host, Sylvain Perrier, President and CEO, and joining me, as always, in studio is Mark Fairhurst, our very own Senior Director of Marketing.
It's great to be back. Number 3.
Number 3, almost in the can, and at the board, at the helm, I'd like to say Scotty from Star Trek, and it's not, but it's Kevin Glenn, which is even better than that, right? Because Scott would be really old right now. And so
I think he's passed away.
He has. He unfortunately has. Has he left behind that formula for the transparent aluminum that he
from
the movie? You know,
Star Trek 4.
Yeah, Star Trek 4, and he started talking into the mouse computer.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. And so today's topic, we're going to be talking about the infinite game in grocery retail. #winning, #TigerBlood. Thank you. Thank you, Charlie Sheen. By the way, we miss you, Charlie. When are you going to call me back? So the industry's changed. I mean, we certainly covered that in podcast number 2. We talked about the new entrants, how the product lines are being blurred, how grocery retailers have restaurants, and now how pharmacies have products that are typically sold in grocery retail. You know, the acquisition of Shoppers Drug Mart by Loblaws. It's so different. And I think it's just going to accelerate. And what we're seeing happening right now is the difference between companies that are just okay with status quo and others that are really all about playing the long game, right? Which is really synonymous for those of you who watch sports. And as always, we have our expert on the line, Britton Ladd. For those of you who don't know him, he's the man. He gets this space, right? He's published, prolific writer, knows everything about technology and retail and e-commerce. Welcome back to our show.
Thank you so much. It's really great to be back for this episode.
So, winning. And winning in the most classical of terms is very finite. It's like a project. It has a beginning and it has an end. It can be very well defined to a certain extent. It has winners and has losers. And Vegas is very good at cultivating kind of that, what I like to call the finite game, right? And I can tell you that more often than not today, we're seeing this dynamic change where retailers are falling into this pit, for lack of a better term, where they become very finite. And I can remember, and again, I'm a history buff just in general, and I think most of the people that know me know that. And I can remember being in Fort Mill, South Carolina, in 2008. I was landing into Charlotte CLT, and it was really odd on the plane for a Sunday. There was a lot of Canadian bankers on the plane. Check into the hotel in downtown Charlotte at the Omni. Couldn't get a room. My room had disappeared. And there is crowds of people freaking out. What I didn't know, it was announced that Lehman Brothers had shut down. And it was the beginning of the financial crisis. And so through that Sunday on for quite some time, we saw some North Carolina and South Carolina, and I will say South Carolina specifically, their unemployment rates went up to 17%, which is huge, higher than the national average at the time. And what you could see across the pool of tier 2 and tier 1 grocery retailers, a big shift in strategic direction, a very big shift in how they competed in the market. And you could get a good sense of those that really wanted to succeed. They doubled down on their private label because they knew that the people that used to go to restaurants during the week or would go to higher end retailers would eventually trickle into their front doors. But they also equally knew that there was a class of consumers that they normally served that couldn't afford anything anymore, that would have to go to the food banks and the like to be able to survive. So the smart ones knew how to squeeze costs out of their supply chain, knew how to double down on their private label, how to get the best out of their CPGs to be able to survive. And there are others today from that experience have still not recovered, The industry is still today faced with a lot of retailers that are dealing with Chapter 11s, Chapter 7s. We at Mercatus have had to go through 2 prominent retailers that have gone bankrupt. Fresh and Easy, for those of you who may not know who they are, I think they were started in the LA market by Tesco just before the financial crisis or during the financial crisis. They never recovered. And A&P. A&P was one of the US's first and at one point largest grocery retailer. So interesting developments. So Brendan, help our audience understand what's the opposite of a retailer that's playing the short game.
A retailer who plays the infinite game, and let's really kind of help the audience get a better understanding of this. As you stated earlier, finite game, you know how long you're going to play. You know what the score or how the game is going to be scored. There's a referee. There are agreed upon rules. An infinite game is rules can change at any time. There are no agreed upon rules. And the goal is to keep the game going on to infinity, keep the game going forever. And to me, the company that understands that the best is Amazon. And the reason why I say that is if you look at Amazon, Amazon says, we don't just want to be a retailer. We want to be in technology. We want to be in entertainment. Why do we want to do that? Well, because we know that's what our customers are going to want. Customers need technology. Customers want entertainment. Amazon made the decision to acquire Whole Foods. Why? Because their customers need groceries. Their customers need food. And more importantly, what Amazon did is they understood very early, why are we here? Well, they were really there to disrupt. They were really there to create an ecosystem that was unlike anything else. But it was always built around the needs of consumers. And the way to keep Amazon growing was to find more and more ways to meet the needs of consumers and not deviate from that. So when I look out there and say, who plays the infinite game the best? Absolutely, I have to rank Amazon number 1. And then I look out there and I say, Walmart does a really good job. I think Walmart understands the infinite game, but I do not believe they play it anywhere near as well as Amazon. And as your audience members should know by now, I have coined this phrase where I say India could be Walmart's Vietnam. And what I mean by that is when you look at the infinite game, the goal is to keep the game going on forever. So the goal is to outlast the competition. In a finite game, football, basketball, baseball, and so forth, the goal is simply to beat the competition. So I believe Walmart today is still playing a finite game. You hear them refer constantly to wanting to beat Amazon. Amazon never talks that way. So now you have Walmart, and they're going to enter India. They're going to buy a majority stake in a company called Flipkart. And the challenge for that is Walmart is going to India because why? They want to beat Amazon. They think they need to draw a line in the sand and make a stand there in India. The challenge is this. Wall Street rewards Amazon no matter what they do. Wall Street punishes Walmart for almost everything that they do as well. So if Walmart starts taking losses in India, as I believe they will, Walmart will have to put even more capital into India, and I believe the losses will continue. And just as the United States had to withdraw from Vietnam after putting more and more troops and more effort into the war, the United States had to withdraw because the Viet Cong wanted to outlast the United States. And I believe Amazon's goal in India will be to outlast Walmart. And if the losses start to pile up, Walmart will have to pull out of India. And that's why I believe that Amazon will win, because Amazon's there to outlast Walmart and everybody else. Walmart's going there to win. And that's the big difference between what's an infinite game player and who is a finite game player.